Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today's history lesson is all about pyramids. And we could talk about pyramids in different parts of the world, but we're going to be focusing specifically on the pyramids of Latin America. Okay, you probably didn't know it, or maybe you did know it. There are lots of pyramids in Mexico and Guatemala and places like that, which we're going to be talking about today.
We sure are. I learned some interesting things. Usually when you think about pyramids, you always think about the ones in Egypt. They're the most famous, I guess, but there are others that we're going to be spending some time on down in Latin America. We're going to read through today's lesson, and then we'll be back to talk about some of these amazing structures. When you picture ancient pyramids, chances are your mind immediately travels to the sandy landscapes of Egypt. But here's a mind-blowing fact that might surprise you. The majority of the world's pyramids are actually located in Latin America, not Africa. These remarkable structures tell incredible stories of advanced civilizations that thrived long before modern technology existed. One of the region's most famous pyramids is the Pyramid of the Sun, located in Teotihuacan, Mexico. Teotihuacan was once one of the largest cities in the world, and its pyramids were at the heart of this ancient civilization. Constructed around 200 AD, the Pyramid of the Sun is enormous, standing about 65 meters tall. It is the third largest pyramid in the world. The pyramid's immense size is astonishing, especially considering the limited technology and tools available to its builders. Archaeologists believe this pyramid was a central site for religious ceremonies and astronomical observations. The surrounding city of Teotihuacan was a marvel of urban planning, with sophisticated drainage systems and a complex social structure that supported tens of thousands of inhabitants. In the ancient city of Tikal in Guatemala sits the Temple of the Jaguar, an equally magnificent Maya pyramid. This structure is decorated with carvings depicting jaguars, which were considered powerful spiritual beings in Maya culture. The temple's steep steps and dramatic design symbolize the connection between the earthly and divine realms. Religious ceremonies at such temples sometimes included human sacrifices, a practice believed to maintain cosmic balance and appease the gods. These rituals, though they might sound shocking to modern ears, played a significant role in the complex spiritual views and practices of the Maya.
Okay, it's time for us to discuss the contents of our lesson for today. We're taking a journey through time. We're looking at history, and we're talking about the pyramids of Latin America, and they've been there for quite some time. Maybe not as long as the Great Wall of China or things like that, but still they've been there for some time, and we can learn a lot of things about history, and the things we'll learn are quite fascinating. And when you picture ancient pyramids, when you imagine them, chances are your mind immediately travels to the sandy landscapes of Egypt. So if somebody mentions pyramid, well, probably the first thing you're going to think about are those pyramids just outside of Cairo in Egypt there, because they're probably the most famous pyramids in the world. So chances are that you're going to do that. It's likely that you'll think about those pyramids in Egypt, and it's quite sandy there because it's a desert.
Yeah, chances are is actually an adverb phrase, which is interesting. But like Tom says, it just means it's likely, it's probable. There's a good chance. You could say that too. When you picture these things, there's a good chance your mind immediately travels to the sandy beaches of Egypt. There's a lot of sand around those pyramids. But here's a mind-blowing fact. You're not going to really blow your mind up or blow your mind out. Mind-blowing just means really shocking, really surprising. And this is the mind-blowing fact they have. the majority of the world's pyramids are actually located in Latin America, not Africa. And again, Egypt is considered to be part of the African continent. But I usually think of Egypt as the Middle East. I don't always call it, Africa. Oh, Egypt and Africa, I always say the Middle East. So pick what you want there. They're both correct. These remarkable structures tell incredible stories of advanced civilizations that thrived long before modern technology existed. To thrive means to grow or develop in a healthy way. We often use it when we're talking about children thriving. Oh, little Johnny is just thriving in school. He's got a great teacher and good friends, and he's just so happy with life. Or your plants can thrive based on how well you take care of them. If you water them appropriately, give them sun. So here, we're talking about some amazing structures that it's hard for us to imagine how they even built them. I think sometimes if you get studying them long enough, you wonder sometimes if they had technology that we are currently unaware of. That's what I think.
Yeah, maybe they were built by aliens from outer space or something like that. Some people have these theories about those things. Also, this number of pyramids in Latin America, I'm not quite sure about that because I know there are quite a few pyramids outside of Egypt in Africa. There are some down in Sudan as well, so I'm not sure about the exact number here, but we're going to be focusing specifically on all those pyramids in Latin America, which would be all the countries of Central and South America, and it probably would count the islands in the Caribbean Sea as well. So again, they tell incredible stories of advanced civilizations that thrived long before our technology existed, like the Incas and the Mayas and the Aztecs. I don't think the Incas had pyramids, but they did have other structures that we could talk about some other day, but we're focusing on pyramids today. Now, here in the next paragraph, it says, one of the region's most famous pyramids is the Pyramid of the Sun, located in Teotihuacan, Mexico. Okay, so that is a pyramid structure. There's actually a couple of pyramids there. There's the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon there. They're outside of Mexico City. You can easily get a bus and go there in about an hour or so, and you can go back to Mexico City in the same day. But this is a big one here, the Pyramid of the Sun. That's actually a pyramid I've been to before outside of Mexico City, and the name of this is Teotihuacan, Mexico. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but that's how you pronounce it in, well, I guess Mexican Spanish, but I think that's actually probably a word from the indigenous people.
Yeah, it's more ancient, huh? So Teotihuacan was once one of the largest cities in the whole world, and its pyramids were at the heart of this ancient civilization. If something is at the heart of something else, it just means they are primary, they're core, they're very important to something, and they were constructed or built around 200 AD. We often use the verb construct to talk about building rather large things, like a house, a bridge, a building that you see. They were constructed around 200 AD. That's 200 years after the death of Jesus Christ. And the Pyramid of the Sun is enormous, meaning it's really, really big. Did you get a look at that? Did you check that out, Tom, when you were preparing for the lesson?
The size of it, you mean?
No, the Pyramid of the Sun. Did you get a look at the picture?
Well, I've seen it before myself, so I guess I don't need to see a picture of it.
Cool.
I got a picture of it somewhere in my photos, but in any case, it's enormous. Indeed, it is quite large. And when I went there, you could climb up the steps to the top, and lots of people were up there. I'm not sure if you can do that anymore because lots of these places in the world are not letting tourists in because they tend to cause damage and they write their names on the walls and stuff like
awful.
that. So I'm not quite sure if access is limited to Teotihuacan or the Pyramid of the Sun here. But again, it's enormous, it's huge, it's colossal, it's large, and it was constructed, again, around 200 AD. I did want to say some things about this word construct, which, as you said, means to build. But construction is a noun form, and I've heard lots of people refer to buildings or structures as a construction. Yes, there's a construction over there. We don't really use it that way. You would call that a building or something. Construction refers to actually the industry that builds things. So you could say, my Uncle Ted, he works in construction. He helps build houses and buildings and things like that. Yes, he works in construction. But again, here it was constructed around 200 AD. And it's enormous, again, quite tall, 65 meters tall. And it is the third largest pyramid in the world. I did not know that when I was there. If I knew that, I would probably have said, wow, this is cool. I'm walking up the third largest pyramid in the world.
So did you go all the way to the top?
Yes, I did.
Cool.
I think I met a young couple there, Mexican couple, and I was trying my Spanish out with them. And yes, it was quite a good experience. I don't think I climbed to the top of the Pyramid of the Moon there, though. But in any case, this is one that's just outside of Mexico City in Mexico.
Very cool. Just following up with what Tom said about construction, we'll often say there's a construction site across the street. A site here is S-I-T-E, a place where something is being built. Or maybe you have a brother who works in construction and the construction site is located across town. You could use it like that too. So it is really enormous. They give us how tall it is here, 65 meters tall. And the pyramid's immense size, immense is also a good word for enormous, is astonishing. It's shocking, especially considering the limited technology and tools available to its builders, at least the tools and technology we are aware of. I have a feeling they had things that we weren't or that we're not currently aware of. Maybe someday we'll find out how they built those, but for now, we get the feeling they didn't have very sophisticated technology. Maybe they did, and it's been mysteriously disappeared from our history and our records. We don't know.
Well, maybe they kept records as well, but up to now, we don't really know about any advanced tools or techniques that they had.
We don't know yet.
So we're saying that it's astonishing if you think about how these things were built with limited tools and technology. And archaeologists believe this pyramid was a central site for religious ceremonies and astronomical observations. So archaeologists are people who study the past, especially if they dig up things from underground like relics or artifacts from the ground. These are archaeologists. And of course, the science is archaeology. And yes, indeed, if you work in this field, you are an archaeologist. Archaeologist, 考古学家, I think it's called in Chinese. And yes, they kind of come up with some theories here. And they thought, well, they probably built this pyramid as a religious ceremony site. When they went there and they brought people in to pray to their gods or whatever, that's what the reason was for having this pyramid. And it also had some sort of astronomical observations. They looked at the stars at this pyramid.
Yeah, astronomical just means relating to the sky, the stars, the moon, the planets. One of those religious ceremonies was pretty horrifying to us in modern day, and that was human sacrifice, where they would actually take live women and children and burn them or kill them on the altar at the top of this pyramid to keep the gods happy, at least the ones they thought were alive, and, punishing them or providing good crops and harvest for them. They would actually kill women and children as human sacrifices to these gods. So it was pretty horrifying even today. So the surrounding city of Teotihuacan was a marvel of urban planning, how they put the city together, how they planned it, how they laid it out, you could say. A marvel is something that's marvelous, pretty amazing. It had sophisticated drainage systems. Sophisticated meaning really complex, very modern, something that wasn't just a simple way of building or doing something, quite sophisticated. So it was highly developed and had a high degree of sophistication and maybe complexity to it. Drainage, what is that, Tom? Drainage?
It's when you get rid of the water, okay? When it rains, of course, you don't want the water to form pools or puddles or things like that. So you want to figure out how to get rid of the water. And also the sewage, okay? If you have people using toilets, you need to figure out a way to get rid of human waste. So you need these drainage systems The drain, of course, is where the water goes in your sink, down the drain. So yes, indeed, these are drainage systems. And of course, they have this complex social structure with, leaders and priests and people like that and workers. And of course, all these things supported thousands of inhabitants. An inhabitant is someone who lives in a particular place.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break, listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to continue talking about these pyramids of Latin America. Stay tuned.Hello
everyone, 我是 Patrick 老师，今天讲解的是5月13号 Unit 7。好，这个单元有2天的课文内容，要介绍的是金字塔，这是第1天的课文内容。大家听到 pyramids 金字塔，是不是都先想到埃及？不过，如果你以为只有在埃及才可以看到金字塔，那就错咯。拉丁美洲反而有更多的金字塔。虽然它们的形态和埃及的金字塔有些不太一样，不过的确拉丁美洲的金字塔更多。我们一起来看这个单元的学习重点吧。请同学看到第1段的第1个句子 When you picture ancient pyramids， 当你试着要去想这些古老金字塔的时候， chances are， 那请同学把 chances are 画起来，这意思是说很有可能怎么样。 Your mind immediately travels to，那请同学呢把这个 your mind immediately travels to 画起来，那所指的当然就是脑子里面可能会想到的会出现的画面。大家会想到的可能呢是埃及，请看到第2个句子 But here's a mind-blowing fact。 好，作者跟我们说这是事实会让人家觉得震惊的。 mind-blowing 那其实就是只会让听到看到的人觉得震惊的。什么样的事实啊？其实多数的金字塔是在拉丁美洲，不是在非洲。好，我们看到第3个句子 These remarkable structures， 这里的 structures 指的呢当然就是金字塔这些建筑。好， structures 这里所指的就是金字塔。那请特别注意的是，一般而言我们看到 architecture 是不会看到复数形，但 structure 或 building 是有复数形态的。好，那金字塔其实告诉我们很多的故事，那通常呢都是跟古老的文明有关，但这里作者使用的呢是 advanced 这一个形容词，指的呢是相当先进的。这些文明已经发展到一定程度了。再来我们看到第2段，就直接先介绍第一座很有名的金字塔，在墨西哥。好，是什么金字塔？它是太阳金字塔。哪里特殊呢？请特别看到第3个句子，它是在西元呢200年左右所建造的 constructed around 200 AD。 请特别注意的是，这也是分词构句。那原本的句子应该是说 it was constructed， 那由于呢名词都一样，所以我们省略掉用分词构句。那既然是被动的，我们只要保留过去分词 constructed 就好了。那后面呢，请特别注意到在分号后面 standing about 65 meters tall。 同学请注意，这里也是分词构句，前面是用过去分词呢，为什么这里呢是用现在分词加 ing 呢？主要是因为 stand， 请注意它不是及物动词它是不及物动词。那所标示的就是这一座金字塔有多高，后面的65 meters 是它的高度，并不是 stand 的受词，它一样是主词补语。好，那由于主词都一样，指的就是金字塔，所以我们呢主动的话，那就是要加 ing， 因此这里是 standing。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue talking about the pyramids of Latin America. We were just talking about the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan, Mexico. Well, let's go to Guatemala. That's a country that is right next to Mexico. Right to the southeast of Mexico is the country of Guatemala. And in the ancient city of Tikal in Guatemala sits the temple of the Jaguar, an equally magnificent Maya pyramid. So, of course, you got different groups of people who lived in Mexico or Central America in the past, or the Incas who lived in South America. So here we've got the Maya, and of course, they've got different temples that are more toward the east of Mexico and Yucatan and I think Campeche and Tabasco and places like that. And here we're going to Guatemala, and there's a temple there called the Temple of the Jaguar, which is a kind of a tiger or lion that lives in the Americas. I think it's called Meizhou Bao in Chinese.
Ooh, this one's really cool. It's kind of in a different shape, isn't it? And it looks as if it's a jaguar, like sitting on its haunches. Your haunches of an animal or is like the hind legs and the butt part. It's described as being magnificent, which means very impressive, beautiful, extravagant, elaborate. It's really quite exciting to look at it. It looks like an animal made out of rock. So it's pretty cool. This structure is decorated with carvings depicting jaguars, which were considered powerful spiritual beings in Maya culture. So you can see that, again, this is being used in a lot of religious ceremonies, and they're trying to appease or please their deities or their gods that they worship. So if it's decorated with something, it just means they're making it even more beautiful by putting something on there. If it's a carving, it means the rock is carved with some sort of tool in a shape. And the shape of these carvings are actual jaguars. If you depict something, you show it. We'll often talk about maybe a book that has illustrations depicting the subjects that the book is about. So you can show something by a drawing, a photograph. Even somebody who's acting on stage will often be depicting something, or a landscape will depict a certain area of the earth. So we use that word in lots of different ways.
Yeah, the Mayans had a really cool writing system. It's not like letters or characters. It's quite unique. But in any case, they had these carvings of jaguars. And yes, jaguars were considered powerful spiritual beings in Maya culture. So if it's spiritual, it has to do with spirits or religion or fantastic beliefs and things like that. We often talk about spiritual being religious. Okay, I had a spiritual experience the other night. I was talking to God or something like that. And in this particular case, yes, they were magical, religious, kind of spiritual beings in Maya culture. They were revered and respected, so I guess you couldn't kill jaguars or you'd, get punished for that or something like that. And the temple's steep steps and dramatic design symbolize the connection between the earthly and divine realms. Okay, so it's quite steep. It goes from low to high rather quickly, and it's got this dramatic design, and all those things symbolized something. To symbolize just means to represent something, and here they were symbolizing or representing the connection between the earth and heaven, earthly and divine realms. Earthly would be, with the people, and divine would be with God or gods, and realms is just kind of the area where they live. Okay, it's kind of magical. If we talk about these sorts of things, like a kingdom could be a realm. The knights were traveling through the realm of the kingdom, for example. It just means a different kind of area.
Yeah, it's kind of a literary word, I would say. We'll often talk about a realm as a kingdom, as Tom said, or maybe the area of interest or activity, the field someone's studying. We can use it in different ways, but it's a special word. I think we use it more when we're talking about writing rather than just speaking casually. So religious ceremonies, and I mentioned this earlier, at such temples sometimes included human sacrifices. I know that's horrifying to us today, but it was part of many of these ancient cultures and their civilizations, part of their religion and their religious practices. They thought that they were pleasing their gods by killing human beings. Usually they were young women or young children, which is horrible. It was a practice believed to maintain or keep a balance between heaven, which is cosmic. Cosmic refers to the heavens, and to appease or please keep those gods happy. If you appease someone, maybe you've got someone who is very demanding or a boss that has a bad temper. If you appease them, you try to keep them from getting upset. You pacify them. You make them feel better about things. So they were trying to maintain that balance between heaven and earth and also to keep those kind of mean or punishing gods happy with them as a people.
Yep, they got hurricanes in Mexico and Guatemala, so they had to have some sort of explanation. Well, the gods must be angry, so we need to do something to keep them happy so they don't have these big storms and things like that, or droughts or diseases or things like that. And these rituals, though they might sound shocking to modern ears, played a significant role in the complex spiritual views and practices of the Maya. So yes, these are rituals, religious rituals, things you do on a regular basis. Lots of churches have rituals. You go to church, you recite passages from the Bible, or if you're a Buddhist, there are rituals there. You chant the sutras or whatever. Those are rituals that you do. And these are religious rituals where they sacrifice human beings. And yes, they did that to maintain that balance between the universe and the gods and earth and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might sound shocking. Did they really need to do that? Did they really need to kill people just for the gods? But they did play a very important role in the spiritual views and practice of the Mayans. And indeed, we know about them, I guess, because the Mayans had that writing system. I guess they sort of explained what they were doing through their writing system.
Notice here that our article uses the Maya, and Tom just said the Mayan. If we refer to the people as a group, we usually refer to them as the Mayan people, M-A-Y-A-N, and the Maya is just the people as a whole, or the culture as a whole, the civilization. So, yeah, it's very interesting to go back and look at some of these ancient civilizations and the way they used to live.
Have you ever been to a pyramid before yourself, Stephanie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, never? Not even one, huh?
Nope.
Well, I've been to two, of course, Teotihuacan, as I mentioned before, and there is also a pyramid in Indonesia on the island of Java. I think it's called Borobudur.
Oh.
It's like a Buddhist pyramid. When Buddhism was practiced in Indonesia, it's really no longer there anymore, but it was kind of cool.
How tall is it?
Well, it's tall enough. It's pretty cool. It's got all these statues of the Buddha on it and stuff like that. I don't remember exactly how big it is. I don't think it's as big as Teotihuacan, but it's still pretty cool. And yes, it's right here in our neighborhood if you want to check it out. And so, of course, there are lots of pyramids all over the world that you could check out if you're interested. And these, of course, are the pyramids in Latin America, which we'll continue talking about in our program next time. But right now, we're going to hear from our Chinese teacher.
再来，请同学看到第三段。第三段介绍的是另外一座金字塔，位于瓜地马拉。这座金字塔呢，我们把它称为 The Temple of the Jaguar， 大美洲豹神殿。好，那也一样非常的宏伟。请同学特别注意的是第二个句子，这段第二个句子。在 Jaguars 后面，请同学注意到这个逗点不可以省略哦。那同学常会问说，为什么有些关系代名词前面会加上逗点，有一些没有呢？到底有没有差别？答案是当然有差别。如果呢没有加上逗点的时候，这个我们叫做限定修饰。意思就是说，后面的这个关系子句、形容词子句很重要。它是帮我们区别前面的先行词的，可是呢，当前面加上逗点，或前面有逗点的时候，就表示后面的这个关系子句只是在补充说明，它并不是要去区分哪一些美洲豹，而是告诉我们说，美洲豹基本上呢，在南美的原住民、拉丁美洲的原住民会把美洲豹呢当作是非常有灵性的动物，会觉得它们是很重要的精神存在。再来，请同学看到第五个句子。第五个句子这里讲到，在大美洲豹神殿它到底有哪些功能呢？我们从前面第四个句子已经了解到，这里会有很多的 religious ceremonies， 有很多宗教的仪式。 那其中呢有活人献祭，human sacrifices。在第5个句子的时候呢，就告诉我们，我想作者这里特别指的就是 human sacrifices。那这样子的活人献祭的仪式宗教仪式，对于我们现代人来说，乍听之下，刚听到的时候都会觉得非常的可怕。所以第5个句子作者才会写 these rituals， 这些宗教仪式。那中间有2个逗点，逗点这中间呢是一个副词子句。虽然这些仪式呢听起来对于现代人来说很可怕 ，sound shocking to modern ears， 请特别呢把这个 to modern ears 画起来，就是我们现代人听到会觉得很震惊。好，那但是这些宗教仪式 played a significant role， 对于这些古文明来说，他们会觉得是非常重要的。好，以上呢就是我们针对这个单元第1天的课文内容所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
We're out of time today, guys, but we have one more day to talk about the pyramids of Latin America. We hope you'll join us then. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye.